What's good, beloveds? We're here in Brooklyn, New York. We're gonna do a very special Cavalier lyrics decoded, me, Cavalier, for the song Reprise, which for me is a very, personal and special song. It encapsulates a lot of my experience in Brooklyn and personal moments about the place where I was birthed. I got her name tattooed on my chest. I'm chasing Amy's, retracing my steps, smoke tracing my breaths. Can still smell her clove linger off her Lefferts and Grant. If you don't know about love or death, then you just won't understand.
Before the Reprise song begins on Private Stock, there's a skit where you hear someone asking me about a woman's name tattooed on my chest, which is at the end of a poem. And that woman is Amy, my dear friend Amy Montague, who passed away some years ago, and a poem that she wrote for me. On the first line, when I say I have her name tattooed on my chest, I'm chasing Amy's, retracing my steps, I'm speaking about a real person that I cared for, that I loved. And she also lived in Brooklyn during the time of our friendship, but happened to be from New Orleans before I could ever have the opportunity or experience to even think about visiting here, let alone living here. The Chasing Amy is a play on words. It's a reference to the Chasing Amy movie title, a film from the late 1990s with Ben Affleck. So just sliding her name in through the use of that movie title. Except in my version, I'm chasing Amy in the sense that I'm chasing the memory of a lost friend. My last time seeing Amy alive was on the balcony of the building where she lived in Brooklyn on Lefferts off of Grand. It's a very specific memory for me because it kind of seals this beautiful moment, and it was the last time that I got to share energy and space with her. And she was known for being preceded by the smell of a clove cigarette at times, when she was relaxing. So, you can still smell her clove linger off of Lefferts and Grand. If you don't know about love or death, then you just won't understand. And hopefully we all know about love. We all eventually will know about death or have in some capacity. So I wanted that moment, though specific to me, to be relatable to everyone, because we all have those beautiful and fleeting experiences.
I'm reminiscent like a Chester Higgins, from where clips see empty like they pessimistic. Impressionistic, my frustration of painting a portrait that's so vivid, and they still couldn't get it from thin air.
I'm reminiscent like a Chester Higgins, from where clips see empty like they pessimistic. So Chester Higgins Jr. is a famous black photographer and archivist who used to photograph for the New York Times, among many other published works. Personally, his work struck me because I saw this photo that he took of a Muslima girl, very striking, in full hijab and burqa, face covered, but such intense energy coming from her eyes. And you would think this photo was taken somewhere in Mecca, and indeed it was taken in Brooklyn, New York, kind of near the border of Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights, at the mosque on Fulton, off of Bedford. And I had that photo up in my room, and it inspired so many thoughts about Brooklyn through my life. And I found his work to always be inspiring me in that way. And there are people that are important in my life and in my memories growing up that have been documented by Chester Higgins Jr. So that line kind of visualizes through his work the intensity of some of the memories and moments that I've had in Brooklyn. From where clips see empty like they pessimistic is a play on the phrase, the glass being half empty or half full, and half empty referring to a more pessimistic outlook. Well, clips, not cups, often remain empty in these environments where you're plagued with gun violence, which I certainly observed and experienced as a child growing up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Impressionistic, my frustration of painting a portrait that's so vivid, and they still couldn't get it from thin air. That's me nodding at the visual cue, but also impressionist art, where they didn't really focus on specific lines and brushstrokes. It was a bit more free. I was hoping that these snapshot moments give you an impression of what it felt like, but yet it's also impossible to do.
I'm trying to whittle it away before it wither away. Once bitten, now it slithered away. My sky's blue, it's now digital ray. This requiem for my street, but technically the equity seeked is not equity banked.
I'm trying to whittle it away before it withers away. Is me expressing me trying to capture this before it all disappears. Disappears literally because of the changing environment of cultural erasure and gentrification, and disappearing like a dream when you wake up, or a memory that you're attempting to hold on to. Once bitten, now it's slithered away is referring to the phrase, once bitten, twice shy, kind of talking about, not wanting to do something the second time around because of how bad, the encounter was the first time around. And just further emphasizing that feeling of attempting to hold on to something that's disappearing before your very eyes, whether that's life, love, or your home. My sky blue, now digital ray. That's me talking about the changes yet again, right? As the world is also changing to this very digital world, but also a play on the word digit, because, in astronomy, a digit is 1/12 of the diameter of the sun, right? So my sky was blue, in that sense, but now it's digital ray. It's Blu-ray. It's Blu-ray. Everything is digitized. Everything has kind of lost its analog touch, its memory. This requiem for my street, but technically the equity seeked is not equity banked. A requiem is a service, a mass given for the dead, and hymns. Some hymn songs have a requiem music in it. So this is my requiem for my street, for my home, for Brooklyn as I know it. But technically, the equity, the value that they're seeking out of it is not banked. It's not banked for financially for its inhabitants, and it's not stored in the memory banks when we're pushed to be erased.
Before it tanks, I give thanks when techs bang on this beat. Yo, we need to bring back weed spots. We need to bring back weed spots. I'm trying to tell you, this not nostalgia. This been my style for a while, these closet bangers.
Before it tanks, I give thanks when techs bang on this beat. Before it tanks, before it all goes to shit, right? I'll give thanks when tech nines bang on this beat. You hear gunshots growing up in your neighborhood, and you also hear gunshots in celebration. So, before it all goes to shit, I'll give thanks when celebration is happening. We need to bring back weed spots. We need to bring back weed spots. Yo. Self-explanatory, man. We're in a new era right now. We're seeing cannabis being legalized recreationally in places where black and brown men primarily were arrested and their lives ruined, being pursued and criminalized for these same things. So, now that you can go buy weed at Starbucks in your neighborhood, or that, your local grocer becomes an organic provider of what was considered paraphernalia, I still think that we need to be actively pursuing expungement and giving some credence to the black market, because the black market forever, yo. We need to bring back weed spots. I don't know if I fully trust the government taking full control over the plant that, I use to medicate or to meditate, and more.
These moves is timing, Tutankhamun, common threads, Kama Sutra guided, common sense, Santana riffs, banana nutriment, bandana kids, sandbag and sandwich bag, master plans from a few zips like scoops.
These moves is timing, Tutankhamun. Art is time travel, and one of my good brothers told me the more ancient we keep it, the more futuristic we become. So just nodding at King Tut and that energy. These moves is timing, Tutankhamun, common threads. That nothing we're doing now, our struggles, none of that is new. Our desires, right? Common threads, Kama Sutra guided common sense. Kama Sutra, when we think of that, we usually think about desire, but that also is a play off the threads line, because the sutra part means thread in Sanskrit, kind of like how you use a suture to close a wound. So common threads, Santana riffs, shout out to Carlos Santana. I think of his riffs when I think about some of the intensity of our environments and experiences. Banana nutriment. Nutriment is a, vitamin food supplement drink that was popularly advertised in a lot of Caribbean and Central South American neighborhoods. And it came in a variety of milky flavors. And banana nutriment was just really coveted and tasty, and it's part of my childhood. Bandana kids refers to, kids in the street, sometimes bandanaed up, sometimes bandana out the pocket. The various facets in which bandanas have become part of American culture. Bandana kids, sandbagging, sandwich bag, master plans from a few zips. Or when you have to lighten the load on a boat, you use sandbags. And we're sandbagging sandwich bags which are used oftentimes to pack up zips or ounces of marijuana. And you have master plans on that to change your situation. So we sandbagging sandwich bag master plans from a few zips, like scoops, like, yo, we just taking that chance.
I know the stars smell like trees at night. I know these blocks from my dreams at night. I know some ops trying to read these rights. 100K off of these here bikes. I know the feels.
I know the stars smell like trees at night. Brooklyn is really beautiful in the summertime, and people are out in the street at night, late. And even before recreational cannabis was made legal, Brooklyn smelled like trees. A tree grows in Brooklyn. So I know the stars smell like trees at night. I know these blocks from my dreams at night. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. I've done so much there, and I literally feel like I could crisscross that place blindfolded. It's been present in so many of my dreams, so I can navigate it in my sleep. I know some ops trying to read these rights. Right before leaving New York, I had to exist in the climax of the stop and frisk era, where you could just be a man walking down the street minding your business, and that would be enough to be accosted by the police, harassed, frisked, and your rights being read to you. 100K off of these here bikes. I know the feels. Let's just say this. As Brooklyn changed, it became an opportunity for bicycle delivery of all kinds of services. And that was an avenue I had to pursue, pun intended. But yeah, the feels.
Appreciate y'all listening. This is Cavalier, and that was Reprise from Private Stock, produced by Iman Omari. Peace.
I got a name tattooed on my chest. I'm chasing Amy's, retracing my steps. Smoke tracing my breaths. Can still smell her clothes.